Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman ZX. In the last part we fought Prometheus and Pandora at Area No, and now it's time for us to head towards the final level, right where our journey technically began. Welcome to Slither Incorporated. And I said last part that the Pandora-Prometheus battle theme is either my favorite or second favorite song in the game. This is the other one that's a contender for number one. Slither Incorporated's theme is a remix of the second song you actually hear in the game when Ale and Jiro are talking back on that little cliff in Area A about Slither Incorporated and her parents, even. But it's just such a good techno song, too. Either way, being the final level of a Mega Man game, you can probably figure out what's going to happen in this stage. It's home to our boss rush. However, the way Mega Man ZX handles its boss rush is that you fight it in 4 installments instead of the Zero Series' usual 2, which is each of the 2 pseudoroids of a given element in a row. So, let's get started. The curtain is rising on a new age. Unfortunately, you won't be around to see it. The light of the new world burns too brightly for people like you. I have no fear of the end. My spirit will fuse with Model W and Lord Serpent. Speed up theme for this part is the first area theme from Blaster Master Zero, by the way. I absolutely love that game's soundtrack. And now it's time for us to go fight Huracan. Also, you don't get energy restorations in between any of the 2 fights in this boss rush either.
You're still a real pest. Still trying to fight the inevitable. Lord Serpent will be victorious. I'll carve you up and then you'll realize how futile your battle was. I will continue to live on as one with Model W. I don't care how long it takes, I will defeat you.
Also, the thing you may have noticed with that fight is that the fights aren't at a consistent speed. Due to the fact that there's cutscenes between them and such, I decided to make the bosses all be at a sped up speed to the point where they take 15 seconds each. So there's 2 minutes of boss rush in this part. Also, this finale is lengthy. I assure you probably around half of it is final boss and ending. Now, one thing I want to talk about that I'm not going to get a real chance to until after this next phase of the boss rush is Model W itself. I mentioned before that cutscenes are different when you're playing as Vent, and the one where they directly talk about CL's message to the Model X wielder is more so a cutscene talking about the identity of Model W. And I forget if I mentioned this or not, but I'm going to go over it again anyway in a moment, because now it's time for our second round of bosses. Who we got? Oh, Model L's.
Unbelievable. You've been bothering poor Lord Serpent the whole time. You little brat, I'm going to grind you up. Oh, Lord Serpent, take my spirit. It's yours to have. As for you, I hope you get squished like the bug you are.
Also, if it's not obvious enough by the footage you're seeing, during the boss rush, I don't give a shit about level 4 victories because I already have the maxed out biometals. I'm just going to be dealing more damage to them than I did before. It's going to make some of the bosses really quick, some of them not so much. Youth truly is wasted on the young. You still continue to defy Lord Serpent. You are blind to reality. The world that Lord Serpent's building is the next step in humanity's evolution. If only you
can become one with Model W, you too will understand the truth. We must evolve with a new world.
Either way, as I was saying about Model W, during the cutscene after you beat your 8th pseudoroid, in the vent campaign, you learn the identity of Model W as a fragment of Ragnarok. You know, the giant space station from the end of 04? And what happened at the end of 04? Let's see. Dr. Vile fused with its core, essentially becoming one with it, possibly infusing his soul with it. Meaning Model W has Vile's soul, and is thus Biometal Model Vile. Which means that even all of these years after the Zero series has ended, 200 I believe or so is the range from 0 to ZX, he's still being an asshole. That's actually notable. You can actually hear it a bit later on, because when we get to the final boss, I forget if it's before the first phase or the second one, they play a remix of the usual boss encounter theme. That kind of eerie, weird whispery thing. You hear it before the bosses in the boss rush too. Vile's theme motif actually shows up in that song before the final boss. Which, cool detail. Also, I died. Oh well. Let's see. We're taking down the Model H and the Model L's. I wonder who's next. Model F's.
Another chance to fight the kid. My spirit is on fire. All right, little girl, show me your strength. Even if it only is in spirit, I will continue the fight. I will become one with Model W. This is what Serpent must have been saying about the power of a god. It's incredible. Simply incredible.
Wow, you need to calm down there, sir. With Fist Leo down, that means next up is the worst pseudoroid normally. Alright, Flammole, let's see how you're doing.
Haha! You should thank me. I went through all the trouble of digging your grave. Now I just have to bury ya. I can sense the shockwaves of Model W ripple underground. Feel free to take a dirt nap when Model W is done with ya.
Nah, I got better things to do than that. I have to do homework too, man. I mean, I'm a student. Come on. I admit, I do like the more sequential boss rush formula that the Zero series introduced, but I think fighting all 8 bosses across 4 different rushes is a little dumb. I like the way the Zero series did it, aside from 4, where you just did 2 groups of 4. That was really the best way to balance it. Plus, it helps that you got life energy after every single boss you killed. I don't know why they didn't do that in this game. I think they do it again in ZX Advent, but they just don't do it here for some reason. Mind you, it also has been a while since I played ZX Advent, so I could be wrong about that. Overall, though, this final level is not too bad. It's mostly just the boss rush. The in-between stuff isn't too troublesome. Most of the enemies are fairly standard, too, but for this point, a lot of galleons.
Ook, ook, it's a miracle. I'm back and I'm feeling great. I'm sorry, this won't be a fair fight. I'll probably take you down with one hit. Done in again. Oh well. At least I was back for a little while. Lord Serpent, take my spirit. I freely give it to Model W.
You know, hearing that reminds me of one of my more major issues with the Megaman series is that outside of a few things like Wily, Sigma, and such, not many of the bosses get real character to them aside from maybe some psychoticness or minor trope personalities.
I never expected you to make it all the way to our head office. But this is where your journey ends. Your smug sense of righteousness will be your undoing. Lord Serpent, he will leave a big footprint in history. The footprint left behind where he crushes you.
Now, there has always been something a bit more malicious about the Zero Series bosses, that they are actually like, hey, I know I'm dying, but screw you anyway. And here we are at the final charge. A lot of the enemies here are just galleons, and thus it's probably the best place to fill your sub-tanks if you had to use many of them during the boss rush. I forget how many I used along the way. I wanted to save myself at least 2 sub-tanks for the final boss, though. Because the final boss can be damaging, to say the least. Got some last-minute death traps here with spikes, which, admittedly, I have died twice in this level at this point, so the third death will be a game over, meaning I have to start over, but thankfully, I happen to know how to maneuver myself well enough to the point where that's not an issue. Again, though, I love this song. This soundtrack is so good. Whoa. How could there be so many Cyber-Elves everywhere? Good question, Ale. Okay. Also notable, you're going to see me do a brief little pause break here. That's because I went to go make myself some food. And through here, it's Endgame, folks. There's Model W. And there's you. You must be wondering why we need so many Cyber-Elves to awaken Model W. A child like you could never understand. Their fright. It becomes the power that drives Model W. What? Model W, it's time. The despair and fear of this country are yours. By joining us, the weak are freed from their suffering. The Chosen One, Megaman, will save the people. That is the glory of Project Haven. Megaman will save the people. How is sacrificing the people of this country going to save them?
Precious misguided little girl. It's time for you to come off of your high horse. Our power is the result of many sacrifices. We are the Chosen Ones. It is destiny for the last of our kind to rule. Model W is not about destruction. It is about rebirth and evolution. I am the giver of meaning to the lives of people who cannot keep up with the tide of evolution.
The only thing you are is afraid. Afraid of your past. Afraid of yourself and what you've become. Your fear is what drives your desire to rule. You think this is evolution? Is this really what you want?
You think I'm doing this all out of fear? That's nonsense. The spirits of the people have given me what I need to obtain the power of Model W. Look at you. You're only able to stand before me today thanks to the power of Model Z absorbed from that red Megaman. Evolution requires sacrifice. The ones who will determine what needs to be sacrificed are the Megamen. Your fear and despair combined with my joy and victory. They shall be the ultimate gift to Model W.
Time for us to take this fight directly to Serpent himself. He is surprisingly projectile-based, despite what we've come up across so far. The only physical attacks he has are a little Shoryuken and a little slide kick he has, which is honestly, it has some Mega Man shades in of itself. However, for most of this fight, you're honestly going to want to be on the walls, shooting your own projectiles to counter his own because he has 2 kind of projectiles attacks. That general V attack he uses, and then another attack that kind of has the opposite orientation that he aims downwards. He also has that giant charge attack of his own that you can make go back towards him, I believe, with enough damage to it with enough charge shots. I'm not sure if it hits him, if when it hits him, if it'll do damage, though. When he goes beneath half health, he goes into his own overdrive mode, which I'm not sure what this changes, honestly. I want to say it might increase his damage output, but I don't know. Maybe it adds an element to him, but I doubt he has an actual element, so I don't know what's going on with this. Either way, not a very hard first phase. Damage output can be kind of annoying, but if you have sub-tanks, especially 1 or 2, you should be fine. Though I have had fights with this guy where I go mostly melee, and you have to stick a bit closer to the walls when you're doing that, because you want to face him like you're facing Sigma in X1, by jumping off the walls and avoiding his own jumps to get most of your damage in. What do you find so hilarious about all of this, Serpent?
It's just as Prometheus and Pandora said. You are the final key. Right now, you're being controlled by a powerful emotion. Emotion so powerful it exceeds even mine!
My transformation was canceled. What's happening to me?
The emotion driving you now. That emotion is not bravery. It's not born out of some sense of righteousness. It's hate. Your hate from me and everything I've taken from you.
What? That's impossible. I'm the key to awakening the power of Model W? All my fighting and I did nothing more than fulfill some madman's destiny.
Don't give up yet. Your battle is not over.
Huh?
We did not lend you our power, just to let you carry out some petty revenge.
Beating up someone just because you don't like them is nothing more than the action of a playground bully. Don't give in to the hate. If you fight the flow, you'll just end up swimming in place.
Even in the darkest tunnel, there is always a light at the end of it for you to follow. Your power is not based on hate. Your real power, your wellspring of bravery lies within you. Look within yourself.
You're right. I made a promise to you on that day. I said I will protect the people. All of them.
Well then, if you're so sure of yourself, let's find out which Megaman is destined to rule the world.
I'm not interested in ruling the world. Serpent, if you want to be the Mega Man destined to rule the world, then I'm the Mega Man that is destined to save it. Serpent Form 2 starts off with Ultimate Serpent there on the top. We need to hit his little head in order to damage him. Also, I love this final boss song. I know I've gushed about this soundtrack a lot through this LP, but seriously. For the most part, Serpent just fires these balls that split into either 2 or 4 other laser beams depending on where it lands, and he'll try to crush you with his hands in a few ways. Once you reach the second health bar, he goes into his console phase, where we now need to damage the green things on his elbows, shoulders rather. His attacks at this point switch that Chaos Meteor attack, this little thing that will drain your health and restore his a little bit. The bigger annoyance, though, is the Meteor attack, because not only is it hard to dodge the meteors itself, but the little... I don't even know what to describe those things that it leaves. Remnants can be kind of annoying to dodge if you're not trying to damage them yourself. Once we're down to the third health bar, we're going to go into his Redeemer phase. At which point, he starts to be a bit different. Also, this attack sucks you in, but it's nothing too threatening. During his Redeemer phase, well, he becomes from 1 face to 2 faces. to a third phase with Master Hand and Crazy Hand. We need to damage the gem on that little forehead, very similarly to previous final bosses in the Mega Man franchise. At this point, most of his attacks become either those laser brigades or another little purple thing that'll drain energy from you. The third phase is the easiest, and that's it. Honestly, Serpent's second form is not a very difficult one. Can do damage, but that's about it. This is the end of the line. I will never become like you. Never become like me? Eh? You just don't get it, do you? The Mega Men are all designed with one purpose: to destroy each other and survive to control Model W. It's all just a game. His game. We're all pieces on the board. And the winner becomes ruler of the world. His game? Ah, yes. His blood flows in your veins, too. The man who made Model W. No. No, that can't be. Ale, everything's falling apart. You've got to get out of here. His blood flows in my veins. The power within me is the power to control the world? Hey, I don't want to hear that kind of talk. You promised to continue the fight where I left off. Don't tell me you forgot your promise already. You did mean it, right? Jiro? But the blood that flows in me is just blood. Are you going to let some man you don't even know decide your destiny for you? Destiny is not something that is given to us by others. Destiny comes from the concept of destin, or directing something towards a given end. Be the one doing the directing. Only you can decide your destiny. Only I can decide my destiny. Yes, forget the past, it means nothing. The power you contain within is the key to creating your future. Serpent said that my power is the result of many sacrifices. But those sacrifices didn't just give me power. The first commander who first made the biometal, you who protected me all those years, the Guardians. All of your sacrifices have given me something beyond just power. They gave me the will to protect the world. And I will protect it. Then it looks like you've decided to direct your own destiny. Take this world into the tomorrow you desire. That's my last job request for you, Transporter. Ale, I have faith in you and your courage. I believe that the tomorrow you create will be a bright one. Face your destiny and carve out a new future for yourself. That's the struggle that you and every living thing on the planet must cope with. Ale! Facing our destinies and carving out the future. That's our struggle. Everyone has fought to give me something precious. I have a power, and with that power comes responsibility. I will fight. I will fight for what matters. And, ladies and gentlemen, that is Mega Man ZX, the Ale story at least. If you want to see the vent story, I recommend an LP I was actually watching while editing this LP, just as a reminder of the vent cutscenes, and that is Clement J64's LP, because he does a damn good job throughout that. And speaking of which, the Vent cutscenes are a bit different there towards the end. It's more so a personal bout between Vent and Serpent than about the whole his game thing that we've been hearing about so far. Either way, going to the game itself, ZX is really good in my eyes. It is a bit rough around the edges, namely the fact that you don't get an idea of where the areas are, unless you found them ahead of time with exploring. Some of the plot can be a bit weird at times, obviously, and some of those side quests needed to be changed. However, the main gameplay, especially when you're in the actual stages, is fantastic, and oh my god, this soundtrack is so good. It's overall a really good game, and if you have a Nintendo DS, I recommend you go and check it out, because it is, honestly, a fun game. I do wish there was a bit more difference between the two character playstyles, but other than just maybe knockback and such, which thankfully is a thing that ZX fixes. ZX Advent fixes, rather. But overall, I can say I can recommend it for a fact. We'll get to ZX Advent later. It's not the next Mega Man game I'm doing, nor is the next DS game I'm doing. Though I just remembered that I have not talked about the arcade games in Morgan's Arcade the entire time. More or less, you got a Bejeweled clone in there, a thing where you have to dribble a ball with your base human state through the first half of Area H. Something where you have to destroy blocks with Model FX. I forget the exact one you do with that. And I forget the fourth one. And I think you unlock them just by beating a certain amount of pseudoroids or getting level 4 victories. One is unlocked by beating the game, and one is unlocked by playing any of the others. And that also reminds me of hard mode. ZX's hard mode you beat as well, you unlock by beating the main game in either easy or hard. And it doesn't change too much off the top of my head. I think the life ups and the sub-tanks not being there are the only major thing. And that's just not very fun for me. It's there if you want to play it, though. Easy mode, by the way, this reminds me. Easy mode, you can fight Omega, but you can't get Model OX, so that's the thing. But yeah, ZX, damn strong game. I like the sequel a lot more on a lot of gameplay elements, but this is still a fine start for a Metroid Mega Man kind of mix. Either way, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.